visiting my friend in Alabama, and I'm on this trail walking Lost Creek Trail. On the way here, I spent a lot of time listening to a couple of Howard Thurman sermons on love and how important it is to deal with and be dealt with the beloved so as to build trust. Trust is essential for any kind of loving relationship. So this video is really going to be about love and learning what love actually means and how it is a force for the good and for the good in life. But it's not an easy thing to do. There's so many obstacles that distract us from the power of love. There's a lecture by Emmanuel Levinas, actually, called Freedom and Command. It's very short. You can look it up and read it. I spent a year with Jill Robbins in a class when I was in graduate school reading Levinas. And Levinas has a lot to say about love, actually. One of the things he says is that loving another, I love about myself, and it returns me to myself. If you can harness the power of love in yourself, even though there are other emotions and realities that compete with love and being loved, if you can harness that real energy, which takes work actually. The face of the other, Levinas says, commands me. What he's doing is he's upturning the Hegel's dialectical master-slave theory, and he's taking that on by saying love is the force of life. So the life force of love returns us to ourselves in the face of the other. So that is not an easy thing to do. And I'm hoping that as a country, as a society, as a people, as a world, we can really dig down deep within ourselves and find the power of love that, as it says in the Bible, casts out fear. Perfect love casts out fear. So how can love override fear? Well, when you're connected to someone or have their interest in mind, their best interest in mind, you offset your only concern for yourself, and you, for the sake of their safety, their freedom, you draw deep within from a power really that's as divine as much as, or more so than even human. To soothe, to comfort, to stand in the gap for, to stand up for the sake and the safety and the freedom of another. Perfect love casts out fear. You know, in the Bible, I'm actually a Christian minister, so I am going to draw from the Bible more than other holy text, sacred text. But in the Bible, often you'll see, fear not, fear not, fear not, be not afraid. Because that pulsing fear, shoots neurological messages that are hardwired into our safety and to our bodies, to our DNA, to flee, to fight, or to freeze. And our body and our emotional brain are deeply hardwired. So to offset that fear, which often will create more trauma, more harm, because once the amygdala fires and floods the prefrontal cortex, rational thinking ceases because the body is getting messages to flee, fight, or stay really still and freeze and become invisible. So the antidote for fear is love, it's empathy, it's compassion, it's connection. I was trained as a neuromuscular massage therapist once upon a time, and I really enjoyed learning about neurobiology and the nervous system and how simple touch can offset and create this feeling of release and relaxation and give new messages to the brain, to the body, a connection. To put one in a light state of trust and release and relief. And I have physically felt in my hands muscle tissue release tension. And when you hit trigger points or when you do the soothing, calming touch that activates the parasympathetic nervous system, that is so healing in a deep place. And again, that's what happens when you have a person whom you trust in your life. If you're partnered with someone, you may want to sign up and take this course that takes a look at your heritage, the subtle messages you've received in your DNA. It's a course for couples, but there's another course that I'm making and haven't completed it yet about transformation and change. In both of those courses, love and giving the brain a chance to take in some new information and have the parasympathetic nervous system kick in and create some new neurochemistries and neurochemical responses offsets that cortisol flooding that happens often in a fight, flight, or freeze trifecta of a overload. So perfect love casts out fear. In groups, when we're having conversations and dialogue, it's important to listen, not to defend oneself, but to listen to understand what the common ground might be, where the differences might be, so that hyper-vigilant, hyper-aroused place in our brain doesn't overtake, and get muscle tension ready to fight. So we have been hijacked to a great extent in our country over one emotional trauma after another, and witnessing that and getting stirred in our memories of our own heritage, or from ourselves in our own personal lives, but in previous generations. So understanding how that gets passed down over the years is important in terms of group work, in terms of listening, in terms of building that empathy capacity. So, if we speak in the tongue of men and angels, but have not love, we're a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. We're just making noise, creating mess. So to listen, to take in the face of the other, forging new connections with other people, also forges new messaging in the body-mind connection. So how can love help us overcome fear? And why does that matter for us today? The purpose of loving is to be made more perfect toward doing without fear. Fear shuts us down. Telia, Greek for the translation into the word perfect, means purpose of forward thinking and functionality. In 1959, Howard Thurman gave us a working definition for love. And this definition is timely for us today, I think. I want to read a few quotes from a sermon Dr. Howard Thurman delivered in 1959 called Love and Self-Confidence in the We Believe series. But I'm encouraging you to look these up in the Emory or Boston University archives to listen to the sermon in total. But for now, I want to read these few quotes. Howard Thurman says, The movement of the heart that releases, renews, and recreates is a movement which gathers into its sweep the total life of the beloved. To be made captive by such an invasion is to share in the great surrender, without which there can be no freedom. Love at its best is to involve the innermost center of the beloved. Love at its weakest is to involve something less than the center of the beloved. They are not one and the same. Beware and confuse them not. The working definition of love is the experience through which an individual passes when he or she relates to another human being at a point in that human being that is beyond all good and beyond all evil. And to be loved is the experience of being dealt with at a point in oneself that is beyond all good and beyond all evil. Love, then, he says, means essentially trust. Love means trust. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with others. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, the next video I'm going to make will be about work, the work we have to do moving forward. And I will be asking the question and looking to Howard Thurman for guidance and other sources around the question, who is our enemy? Who is our enemy? How can we love our enemies? The title of my series of videos for this YouTube channel is More to the Story, because as a narrative therapist and consultant, I always know that there is more to the story. Anytime I listen to someone else, one story begets another story. There's a history of stories. There's a present in which we're communicating. There's a recent past. There's a more distant past. And a past past. And so I'm fascinated by stories. And what I'd like for you to do is take a moment, if this has stirred something in you, as you think about times when you've been afraid and times when love has helped you be unafraid and become more perfected in combating fear. I'd like for you to take a moment and send me your stories. You can write to me at storiesmakechange@gmail.com and send me your story. I'm particularly interested because of this video today about love and your personal experiences of love. And I want to ask you, have you loved or experienced love in a way that helped you forge real trust? What is your understanding of your own story as you are overcoming fear when it relates to the solid foundation that love and trust provides? Tell me your story. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned till next time.